The sky widens to Cornwall. Isn't that wonderful? I was a butcher's son in Saltash, which I hated. I absolutely hated it. Didn't want to stay in the butcher shop. And my father, just like Betjeman's father, absolutely useless you are. They'll teach you in the Navy, my son. And he got me accepted for the Navy. And I can hear this when Betjeman talks about his father. What a milksop of a son, no good to anybody. Exactly, relates to me entirely. On Wadebridge Station, what a breath of sea scented the Camel Valley. Soft Cornish rain, silence after steam, as out of Derry stable came the brake to drag us up those long familiar hills, past haunted woods and oil-lit farms, and on to far Trebetherick by the sounding sea. Somebody else's life has sort of entered into mine, and dare I say, we're the same. We're two silly little men, not very tall or good looking, and all this appeals to me so much. That simple line, sand in the sandwiches, and that's all my childhood on Polzeath Beach in 6 words. It's all there. That's what happened. And his descriptions too. And if you look at them, terribly dark, some of those poems. What about Grenaway? It's a very, very dark, very difficult poem, because he loved Grenaway. That's where he spent most of his time, of course. It's lovely to begin with. I know so well this turfy mile. Then he suddenly says, but the other night in a dream I saw the Grenaway from the sea, and that was horrible, and the shingle being drawn back by the tide. And then there's the one about Tregardock. And I loved the poem, but I thought, this is very sad. Well, apparently, he used to get very depressed. And knowing that, standing on that cliff edge, do I jump or don't I? And there it is in that poem. I don't think you'd realise it was him talking almost to himself unless you knew that and you knew the area. A Stepper Point, dark against the sky, and it makes your back creep. It's amazing because it's there in front of you in a sentence. And there's suddenly Stepper Point, which you've looked at for hundreds of years, you suddenly see it in poetic terms. Stepper, standing out dark behind the sky, and you think, God, that's just what it is, exactly. And then in one of his prose, he talks about, as he approaches St. Endelion, the tower looking like a hare with the 2 ears sticking up, and the church being the bottle. And if you come along, there is the hare looking at you. This wonderful life of this so interesting man who had so many doubts and problems and difficulties, and of course so much happiness as well. I think too, this not fear, but what is going to happen? What is it really true? Can it be true? This baby in the ox's stall, all this sort of thing. You just wonder what it's all about, and certainly ties up with me with that. The dread of eternity. Well, there's so many poems about that, his dread of dying and being alone, and eternity comes into so many of his poems. The other thing which I find most fascinating Any name that he mentions is a real person. And they've been living here, and they are real people. You know, Ralph Vasey, Alistair, Biddy, John, and me. They're all real people. So you can look up books and find out who they were. Who was Biddy Walsham? His very first platonic love, his girlfriend. So much of that. And because they're real people, to me, they're far more interesting. So that side of him, I think, is so wonderful. The fact that he talks about real people and real places all the time. And they're not done in, I don't know how to say this, but they aren't done in a sort of poetic way. They're done beautifully in poetic, but you can understand them. But yes, I know Trebetherick, and I think that's the one that you do hear more than the others. It's almost the four seasons if you look at it. There's almost, well, there's certainly winter there, and there's certainly spring with the sand and the sandwiches. Because he talks about the evil stretching out at us from Schiller Mill, and my God, you could feel that as you walked up there. The poem, if you look at it, it's so very dark. There's that worry underneath, isn't there? He brings in that melancholy so often. And of course that lovely line, Ralph Vasey, Alistair, Biddy, John, and me. I think it's wonderful. He finishes up with the me being him.